They will be called oaks of righteousness on display for his splendor.
When you trip up, it almost seems like there's no love when you get up. Give up, it's not in the dictionary. That's why every day you off to the cemetery, dumping off things that should have been buried. Steps this big, yes, it's necessary. When your countenance is like you ain't got no confidence. Face looks like you don't want to be bothered with. Preach about joy, but you look annoyed, like stamped on your chest is the word avoid. Sick and tired of being blamed for stuff. You want to just quit and hang it up? This ain't the same. Who done changed this up? When you get around,
do something rather than when he's not there. And so you see, these afflictions hurt. And sometimes it's hard to see the beauty in it. But the next part, I can't stop smiling. So we're at, there's a thorn given me in my side, the affliction. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me. Lord, please take it away. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Well, what does that mean? His grace is sufficient. Well, what was the definition that you gave of it again? That his grace is finished? His power is finished?
Yeah, it's finished in our weakness. His power is finished in our weakness.
I like that. It's finished in our weakness. It's different than the way that I saw sufficient in this. Let's see. You know how like let's say there's a movie and like they like need like some kind of weapon or something. They pull something out of thin air and they're like, yeah, that'll do. Like that's good enough. Like that'll work. That's perfect. I need that. I feel like that's what God's grace is for us. So many times we go through a bad time and we're focusing on the bad that we can't even see God's grace throughout the whole thing. I told my small group last week how I had to speak at church at Sunday like 2 weeks ago now. And service starts at 11:30 and I got up at 11:05. And if you have to speak, then you need to be in a mental space where nothing is distracting you, not just waking up with 20 minutes to drive and get to church at 11:30 on the dot. And you see, the devil was trying to plague my mind and trying to attack me, but I realized the attack of the enemy. And I think it's very important for us to realize when he is attacking us, because that can make the problem 10 times worse. If I was to panic in that situation, I wouldn't have felt the grace of God. I wouldn't have accepted the grace of God. And so I believe that we have to accept the grace of God with our faith, knowing that he is going to work it out. And so in that time, I'm driving in the car, and I might have been panicking in my mind, but aloud I was singing songs. I was trying to get victory. So just so I could feel somewhat comforted. And it worked. See, that's what God's grace is able to do when you're in a storm, when life has got you beat down. It's able to sustain you. It's able to keep you in perfect peace. You see, we go through situations in times in life that society says that we should be sad and we should be mad and we should be all bent out of shape. But God is saying that if you focus on me, I'm enough. He says I'll keep you in perfect peace. If you just can keep your mind stayed on him, if you can reverse the way you think about your situation and begin to focus more on God, then you can experience the grace of God. I mean, I was going through it today. Like I said, it's been a rough week. Co-workers just, I don't know. I had to pray for them. But it was going, and I just got bogged down. I was on the phone with like another client or something, and this guy was trying to chew me out. Like, he was going at it. And then he goes, yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to argue. I was like, you're doing a great job at it. Like, but I remember I was at my desk with my head like this. And then I said to myself, your grace is sufficient. And I just began to smile. You have to think about his grace in a time of storm when it looks like all is going wrong. You have to remember that God is still there with you and he cares about you. And if he brought you to the test, then he's going to bring you through the test. You see, we don't often think about that because the test just seems, or I'm sorry, not the test, but the burdens of life. They just seem so heavy on us. And you know, we're people, so we like to talk about it. And if you don't like to talk about it, then you keep it to yourself, and that's even worse. But the more you talk about it, you know, the more that thing is in your mind. Oh my gosh, like I don't know what's going on. Like this isn't going right, that's not going right. I got to deal with this today. You just say to yourself, my grace is sufficient, or his grace is sufficient. He's going to carry you through. He can keep you in perfect peace. He can keep you when all seems to be going wrong. I think one of my favorite stories is how T.D. Jakes, his mother passed, and he had to preach that same day. And he looks back on it and says, I don't know how I was able to preach that day. That's what God's grace is able to do for you. You're able to look back on a situation and say, I don't know how I got through that. It was nothing but the grace of God. And we say that a lot, but you don't really take that into consideration. The grace of God is beautiful. I have a friend. He's a dad. He works full-time, 2 jobs. Him and his wife only had 1 car at the time. He literally averaged 4 hours of sleep for a week. Like, I was crying for him. I was like, I don't know how you do this. Like, I don't know how you do it. And he was like, to be honest, I don't focus on it. I know that God has a plan for me, and I'm going to get through it. And then, this was a couple months ago, and we talked about it this weekend at dinner. And he was like, yeah, to be honest, I don't know how I got through that. But that's what God's grace is able to do. And I think if we're able to focus on God's grace a little more, we can have victory in our situation. We can have victory in the valley when all hell seems to be breaking loose. God can keep us in perfect peace, but we have to be able to focus ourselves on that peace. God's grace is sufficient. It's more than enough. It's free. It's undeserved. I don't deserve the grace that he's given me, but he's given it to me anyway. There's a rapper. He said that there's beauty in the struggle. And obviously it sounds like a great line, right? Like, yeah, there's beauty in the struggle. But that's someone who doesn't even know God. That's someone who's just, you know, can find life lessons in the struggle. We can find life lessons in our struggles, and we can find peace because of the grace of God. But we have to focus on that. We have to draw in. We have to tap in. We have to go to that secret place. Kind of isolate yourselves. Lord, my life is a mess right now, but God, I know that you're able. Lord, I ask that you bring me through this. Not just remove it, but give me the strength to get through it. And man, last week, Cuevas spoke about Psalms 23. And he said how goodness and mercy follows me all the days of my life. And I read that thing again, or not that specific, but you know, Psalms 20, 23. And there was so much grace in that passage. And I've never seen it before because I've never looked. We have to be willing to try to find the grace of God in these situations. He says, he maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Maketh me. I feel that implies grace. Because I shouldn't, but he's making it so. He's making it happen. He's bringing it to pass. In green pastures. That's a lovely spot to be. God made you lie down in green pastures. When all chaos was breaking loose, he made you to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Yeah, it's real hectic over here. I got a lot of stuff going on, but God is showing you the still waters. You can still deal with that, but For now, let me just take you to this place mentally and have you dwell in this place instead of over here with all the chaos that's going around, everybody acting crazy. Let's just go to the still waters instead. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Has anyone ever seen grace in that? I don't have to fear, even though all these things are at me, even though I have trouble on every hand, even though I have to deal with this, I have to deal with that, I have bills to pay, kids are acting crazy, relationship isn't going right. I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. You're still there. You still care about me. And Lord, I know if you've done it before, then you can do it again. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. It must be nice to dwell in that secret place of God. I'll be honest, I'm trying to get there myself. But we all go through a lot. And to hear that thy rod and staff, they comfort me. Knowing that God is fighting for you. And I think the best one is, thou prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Come on. Come on. You mean these people hate me, and you're preparing a table like I'm going to have dinner even though these guys hate me, like right in front of them? Like, what? That's awesome. What the grace of God can do in your life. And see, that's why I say that grace is so beautiful. Can you just imagine the world around you in chaos? And you even have your own issues to deal with. And God is just holding you in his hands and saying, like, I got you. You're mine. Just think on me and we'll stay right here. Right here. Oh man, I'm sorry, but I love that. I'm sorry. And he says, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Where you are weak, God said, I'll be your strength. Even though you feel like giving up right now, God is saying, oh no, I got you. We can make it through another day. I know this is tough, but just lean on me. I got it from here. I got it from here. I know you thought that you couldn't make it anymore, but now is where I kick in. I got you. Don't worry about it. The grace of God. The undeserved favor of God. Undeserved. What could you possibly do to say, hey, God, I deserve this? What? It's undeserved. He gives it to you because he loves you, because he cares. And he says, most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities. I think I get it now. So, because God is so good, because of what he's done for you in the valley, in the time of heartache, in the time of trouble, because of what God has already done, that's why you are glorying in where you're weak. Because God is so good, because he sustained you, because his grace has been sufficient enough for you to make it through this, for you to get through this painful spot, you can now glory in your infirmities, knowing that God is going to cover the other half. Knowing that God's got you and that you're not alone and that you don't have to do this thing by yourself. Knowing that when you want to walk on a crutch, God will be your crutch, that God will be there. That when you have no more room to go, God will give you that. He's saying, see you're pushed to your wit's end. Well, tag me in now. The grace of God. It's funny, because that picture looks like she's experiencing the grace of God. It looks like, he used this picture. Right? So we have the storm on the left side here. And if you look to the right, it looks like what God can do for you. Right? The waves are literally raging on the left side. And if you look at the right, but if you look at her, she's focusing. She's trying to get to that place mentally where the storms don't matter anymore because God is going to take care of her. And I think think that's what we have to do. That's the spot that we have to get to. Is purposely ignoring life's burdens. And yes, they hurt, and yes, they're very real, but so is God. Right? We go through things, and then we'll pray about it, and we'll pray about it, and we'll pray about it, and it almost seems like it stops there. Like, oh, pray for me, I'm going through it. But when's the last time you claimed your victory mid-storm, mid-battle? When's the last time you said, I'm not doing so hot, but I'm going to get through this. God is going to see me through. You see, I think we have to change the way we see our problems. That they might be big and very real, but they're not bigger than my God. It reminds me of the three Hebrew boys. Like, either bow or get burned alive. How many of you guys gonna get burned alive? No, but really, you don't think that weight on them? I mean, the Bible doesn't speak about it, but naturally. So, were you gonna bow, or were you gonna? Okay, yeah, me too. I was just seeing what you were doing. All right, cool. We really doing this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, burned alive. But they said, even if God doesn't deliver, that means that they already believed that He would. But even if He doesn't, we don't care. Like, and then to be in the fire and to not get burned. Life can put you in the fire. We deal with things. That's what life is. It burdens us. But if you don't lean to God in those times, then why is He your God? What do you use Him for? For a Sunday morning of praise? We can have victory throughout the week. Every week in our lives. We can have victory. But we have to be able to mentally get ourselves there. We have to realize that we're in a war and we can't do it without God. Grace is beautiful. It's beautiful to be able to go through a storm and feel peace. Feel God's peace. It's like going through a car crash where your car is just toppling over and you come out unharmed. It's like, what in the world? God's grace. And that's why He's able to rejoice in His infirmity. That's why He's able to go from being hurt to pleading. He had a revelation, switched up His thought process. Hold up. Your grace is sufficient. It's enough. It's all that I need right now. Sufficient grace. Grace for the afflicted. Even though you're going through, God says that I still love you. I'll still give you blessings. I can keep you in perfect peace if you stay right here with me. I think we have to really learn to try to focus on peace, because it's so easy to just rattle off your problems. Call somebody on the phone. Oh, you won't believe the day I had. But have you talked to God about it? Have you tried to talk to God about it? And I know it's difficult, because it's difficult for me, because sometimes it just feels like, I'm a sleeper. If I have a rough day, I go to sleep. I'm not dealing with it. And it's weird, because the devil likes to attack me in my sleep. I'm talking like nightmares. Recently, I woke up and I prayed. And to experience